Welcome, Dave King, Chairman and Founder of Triple Crown Sports. I have honored guests here with us today to present our latest findings on return to play. I've got the CEO of Triple Crown Sports, Kerry King, also my son, and I've got my daughter, the COO, Kelly King Solberg of College Sports Eval, our testing business. And with that said, I'm going to walk you through a presentation today of three core things, and then I'm going to finish it up with some implications for you. Those things are a presentation on the protocols that we used to get back on board with the State Department yesterday in a test. The second would be Any Park USA one more time to remind you how it's fundamentally played in getting ball fields back up. And the third piece would be an actual video that we shot yesterday with the State Department, the County Health Department, and 6 top Parks and Rec Director officials here in town. So return to play has 5 major components that health departments want to see. And that's healthy entry into the park. 2 is contact tracing, being able to know who's in the park and who was there if something happened. 3 is distancing, which we're all used to now. 4 is masks, which we know about. And 5, most of us get sanitization. Play ball would be an easy fit if we follow these 5 things.
Regarding healthy entry, coaches need to check with their team and the parents that are with them to make sure that they're symptom-free before entering the facility. The entry and safety director at the gate with signage so that's clearly marked where people can enter the facility, and no lines anywhere at entry. Healthy entry and simple distancing always.
Contact tracing.
Thanks, Kel. With contact tracing, what we talked about with the state and local health departments last night is the current roster system that you guys all are using in most of the events that you play in. They like having 1 parent contact per player, and that seems to be an adequate use of the actual roster system in order to make sure we can contact trace. If somebody gets sick at the ballpark, they can wind back. The number one way to do it is to make sure everybody at the facility is actually recorded. So a coach list with the player email, cell, and leave list, the team parent manager list handling all the fans and making sure we get email, cell, and leave list, the umpire in chief list to handle all the lists for the officials that are there. And then 4th is the tournament director list. This is for all the staff that are actually working at the ball fields. And then the facility directors for all the municipal and facility workers. So these 5 lists of contact information, they can be stored digitally if you've got the sophistication, but paper works just as good. What you want to avoid is forming a line at check-in, so this needs to be done outside in the privacy of somebody's home. They manage all the data and they bring it to the safety director at the entrance.
Distancing, 6 foot and some in the parking lot and entryways coming in. Basically, the warm-up areas, we do a great job of this, 6-foot use. Bathrooms and concessions, you're used to that, pre-marked at 6. Dugouts extended, this is new for you. So they can be pre-marked at 6 foot, and we'll show you in the video. Bleachers for fans, this is new for you. They can be pre-marked in 2s and 3s. They can be color-coded to split geographies. For those events that bring in multiple geographies, they can be separated throughout the whole tournament. And that way, X marks the spot. To put your bottom or your feet on an X, it can be colored and painted in such a fashion that it's easy to find. Distancing in the game itself. Plate umpires would be the only new thing that you would see here, which means the viral load or potential of a viral load to some people of an umpire leaning over a catcher for 2 hours is probably one of the risk moments of the game. And so we've moved the umpire to either 6 foot behind the catcher or 12 foot behind the pitcher. And you'll see that in our video. We've eliminated the pre-games, and pitcher and player meetings have 6 foot distance. We have no congregation on leaving the field, so transitions, no mingling. Post-game, leave immediately, then the dugout's sprayed. No post-game team groupings. Injury, coach itself goes out, safety director joins. No specialty rules. So the great thing about everything we did before to talk about all these rules, pickoffs are still good in baseball, steals are still good. We can do everything in the core game We've just moved the umpire around and moved a few meetings.
For mass, I know a lot of coaches out there are going mass during play. Let me tell you, I got a 12U team, and we have practiced with mass on. We now, as of last night, have played with mass on, and it's doable. So mass for everyone, players, umpires, fans, and staff. When the health department, of course, says we don't need them, then we'll make a shift. But for now, this is what we need to get to play, because that's the number one goal. Let's get out there and let's play.
When it comes to sanitization, the balls, each team should have their own clean ball bucket. You'll see in the video a clean ball bucket and a dirty. And we're saying right now no round the horn. It's just one less touch point. When it comes to the equipment that's being shared, you want to limit it as best you can and try not to share. But if you have to, you're going to need to clean it by spraying with a spray bottle. Post-game dugouts, spray with a quick dry spray right after. The spray dries right on it. You don't need to wipe it down. Bathrooms and surfaces, same thing. Spray it, walk away. This was a tough one for me. I go through a bag of seeds per game, which would be good for my side of my mouth that gets worn out anyways. And no spitting anymore, so you got to limit that. Hand sanitizer, all areas should have sanitizer around. Dugouts, bleachers, entrance, bathroom. The team should bring their own, and it's an important feature to have clean hands.
So with this simple add of one or more per person to the fourplex, in other words, one more staff member for an event. And so if you're managing a game or a tournament, you can look at it this way. It's simple. It's respected by health departments. It's respected and doable in front of your Parks and Rec. You can play ball. These 5 principles: healthy entry, contact tracing, distancing, mass, and sanitization will allow you to be a shining example for sports.
When it comes to diamond sports, we have a moment here in time where we can shine for other sports as well. And it is a sport already built with social distance in it. There's a reason they call being out in left field, there's no one there with you. And so diamond sports are a pathway for volleyball, for lacrosse, for soccer, for football. So people can see diamond sports out on fields in America going on. It becomes more comfortable to take the next step. And so by following these 5 disciplines, you'll find that they're the standard bearer for the disease prevention and return to normalcy for all of us and our athletes and families. To play ball is needed more than ever. Go advocate this presentation, this video, the Any Park ballpark diagram that's coming up to your city, to your health department, to your governor's office. You got to write the governor. It makes a difference from your community, from where you're at. It doesn't matter if Triple Crown leans into California. You have to be from the municipality, from the area, and your voice does matter. It carries weight. We've done a lot of work in Congress with Play Sports Coalition, and it works to lean on your government. So write them right away.
So the 5 simple protocols are on a one-sheet page that you can use for your tournaments or your teams, which is healthy entry, distancing, mass, sanitization, and contact tracing. So if we go to the Any Park USA diagram and grab it, we'll see that what we designed originally, and this has been used all over America to get people back up. Very simple diagram of the ball field and what's there. Simple diagram of how we can warm up for youth baseball, how we can warm up for girls softball, and obviously in boys baseball we've got bigger space for 14 and under. We've got a massive amount of square footage available everywhere, and then we've got adequate space in the dugouts to extend them and adequate space for the fans. We're able to put a gate monitor on and do some amazing things. Playgrounds we haven't solved yet, so cities and counties will have to help us solve those to green light them. And in this case, restrooms need to be sanitized. We've talked about it. We can put our regular tournament monitor or your game manager, if you're managing games, in the middle. The viability of the concession stands is obviously local. Dugouts will be enlarged for the purpose of spacing, and then the same with the bleachers. And so if we look at the dugouts, you can see by going up the foul line and going into the bleachers a little, we can designate a new space for fans. We can get a congregation area. to leave with. We can also get bleacher spaces with X's that families can group together up the sidelines and in the backstop. Massive amount of space. And we don't want numbers in our health department approval. We want the sport is approved. It's not 25 people, it's not 75. Last night we had 225 in this area. And it was very good for the health departments. So it's not numbers, it's adequate spacing and distancing. Restrooms then, the same line situation, same lines for bathrooms and capacity, same with outdoor tables. We can X some off if need be. We have the roving monitor up here to check on everything. And again, the entry person is critical for contact tracing and maintaining the influence of the facility. We're able to introduce whatever PPE we have here in signage. But more than anything else, you need to just understand the size that we're dealing with. Again, to reduce it to the ridiculous, we can put 13 fast food restaurants in the size of a 10 and under boys baseball field and a girls softball field. And in that space, we're going to have a total of 15 maximum people in the size of 13 fast food restaurants. Now let's go to our video now and take a look at the overview of what we've got. This is the actual preparation of our facility, which is a threeplex, in order to play ball. An unusual area, our bullpens, where we marked off for fans to sit. And then we've got spacing for your fence hangers. Be able to go to the dot, goes with your team, blues with the third base dugout in our scenario. The X's from above, you can see there's groups of 2 and 3 adequately spaced apart in the bleachers. And we've got X's wherever people are supposed to sit, so they can put their butts here and make it work. We're able to go into the dugouts and measure those very simply with a little dot of spray paint and put the kids apart. And when we bring them in, you'll see how easy this was to work and put them in our dugouts here in Colorado. Pre-game warm-up, and what you see in a pre-game, you can see the kids now standing where their stuff's at. They're talking. They've got bat bags when they're out in different spots spaced out so they can get them. This is our Colorado State Health Department and our Larimer County talking to the players, basically saying, you know what, we're going to let you pull that mask off to breathe, to get the sweat off, whatever you need to do. He was really impressed with what we were doing with our players. This is an actual overview of a coach talking to a team, and then we go, our pre-games are fine. And in-out in softball is done on the infield, and in-out in baseball, even more space. So we've got adequate space. Coaches speaking to their players. There's several methods. We can space them this way, which we saw in one, or we can do an aerial where they're in a circle where a coach can pregame talk once they're on the field. And this meets all the spacing. You can see from the air how much space there really is to be able to do this with. And this was something the health department was ecstatic about, actually realizing the game itself is distance. There's a few moments that have to be managed in transition, but warm-ups of balls, warm-ups of hitting, it's a naturally distanced game, and it's outdoors, which means 8% of the cases, or 92% have been traced to indoors, 8% outdoors is where they see it. Fans coming in, we brought them in all at one time. Did you see what a rush looked like? With the gate monitor telling them where their field was and which side to sit on. They had known that in advance, which is very possible to do, home and visitors. And then you can see now the crowd sitting in the bleachers, spaced out. And again, we had almost 200 people in here last night between two diamonds, and it just looks like nobody. I mean, it's not a Walmart, and it's not a Lowe's, and it's not the local greenhouse, and you don't have any salon moments. You have hardly any shared equipment moments. It's the #1 safest protocol in America. Catcher-hitter relationship on the field itself, if you look at it, it's almost 6 feet where they stand. We have relocated the umpire. We've got a couple choices there. I was not as ecstatic about the umpire leaning over someone with a potential viral load for a whole game. We put him behind. This kept our foul line intact, but made the low corner ball hard to call, according to them. But it was still a very good game. We put him behind the mound, 12 feet, and we kept him in equipment for safety. They were able to call a better strike zone, but we lost our third base line. So we're working on these protocols. The touch moments or the moments that everybody's worried about, tag it second, I mean, that is less than a second these moments occur. The runner coming by at first, not even a moment most of the time. So if you look at our game itself, it literally is social distancing on steroids. Just nothing really to speak of. So we need to manage the dugouts. We need to manage the transitions. We need to manage the fans with simple X systems. But you can see 200 people in a complex with transitions of people in and out, and you've got social distancing handled. As they leave the game and post-game, the sanitization will take over here, which means that someone's going to come spray down with the quick dry spray and spray down our dugouts. Someone's going to handle the balls in each dugout and move them from dirties over to clean readies to go. And we've got it covered. Remember, hands are the number one issue. Only two ways to manage it, the surface or the hands. Contact tracing is another precaution that's going to be important in the future. We talked about we're able to capture it manually or automated. Very simple, no lines, just a person in charge of the list. And then we have a way to trace back out who might have been there if something did happen. So if you look at the total ball field environment of contact tracing, the surfaces itself, the distancing, sanitization, you've got an environment where we can manage the bathrooms, we can manage the lines, we can manage things that people are used to in America. This was all done in front of the health department last night. We gave them our protocol form that you all are going to get, and we're able to give them a methodology by which they can play ball safely. For those of you that are playing in Triple Crown events, I will tell you this, that everything we've updated to this point, in softball, our Colorado 4th of July and our championships are all still a go. Obviously, we're waiting on final approvals from health departments and cities. And in baseball, we updated you on Wednesday. We have no changes there. They're all a go. We're pushing forward with our agenda to play our baseball and softball events throughout America. And so on behalf of my son, CEO of Triple Crown Sports, my daughter, COO of College Sports Eval, I want to thank you for being a part of our push to get America back to return to play safely. Thank you.